Hey y'all, it's Kate. Glad to have y'all here, Bookkeeping Side Hustle community. We are here to talk with Serena Shoup about her Bookkeeping Business Accelerator program. So if you're here and you've heard about her, or if you're already a fan of hers, chime in, say hi. Let us know where you're from. Let us know why you're here today, and it'll help us make sure we know that the technology is working. The purpose of this interview today is going to be to help you escape that analysis paralysis that can come with investing in an education program. There's a lot of bookkeeping education programs, and I think by going straight to the source of who created this course, it will allow you to make an assessment for yourself and determine if this is a good investment for you. Couple of full disclosure items. I always like to say I haven't taken Serena's course. I've definitely seen her on social media a lot, so I feel comfortable doing this interview and presenting her to the larger community. I took Bookkeeper Business Launch about 4 years ago now. I'm kind of well on my way, yeah, just to maintain the integrity of the group, I want y'all to know that I haven't taken this course, and that the links to purchase this course in the YouTube description are affiliate links. So now that that's out of the way, one of the things we're going to talk about today is she's having a short 4-day workshop next week. So we're going to highlight that a little bit. It's called the Bookkeeping Biz Workshops. It's going to cover what it takes to run a bookkeeping and accounting business, what text to use, how to create a business that's not a job, and how to conduct discovery calls. And then we're also going to talk about her full course, which she has a whole lifetime subscription, kind of a much larger course as well. So that's the intro. Serena, can you, how about we start with just a little introduction about yourself, your background, how you got here today to be teaching us about these courses you've created?
Yeah, I would love to. And first of all, thank you so much for having me in front of your community. I always really appreciate when people are willing to share their platform, right? And I love collaborating with other peers in our industry. I think it's a great way to model like there's competition, but also like there's enough for everybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so back to my story, I guess. I used to work in corporate. I was a corporate controller when I left to have more kids and knew that I really never wanted to go back to corporate because having babies and working 60 hours a week just did not sound like something I wanted to even try.
Right.
But I had the inkling and the dream to start my own bookkeeping business or accounting business, some type of thing using my accounting knowledge back towards the beginning of my career, but I was really held back by just not feeling like I had enough experience yet and really afraid of putting myself out there because, most of us are introverts.
Yep. Yep.
So I would say that held me back for quite some time. And I definitely appreciate all the experience that I ended up gaining by staying in corporate. So I feel like the timing it was all perfect, right? Um, but when I decided to start my business, I came from corporate. I had like 12 years of experience. I didn't really need accounting background or like knowing how to do bookkeeping. Like I already had that under my belt. So I really struggled to find a community and support and just like that extra bit of education that I felt like I was missing when I started my business. So I just really struggled through, and I'm sure you can kind of relate to this,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I really struggled through like learning all the new softwares that are out there. Because when you move from corporate, you use these big old ERP systems. You have an
Yep.
IT department to do everything for you. Nothing is really on the cloud, although you can access things remotely. Like you just don't really understand the stuff that's out there now for small businesses when you come from that corporate environment. So I really struggled with like all the analysis paralysis of like, there's so many options. Where do I start? And like, how do I find clients? And all the same questions that I'm sure everyone is here having.
Yes.
But since I already had that accounting background, I really had a hard time wanting to invest in a huge like something like Bookkeeper Launch, right? Like which I know is a great program and even has been great for people that have the accounting background, but I just like was not quite there at that level of like wanting to invest in myself for one. And just I was like, well, I think the program's mostly like teaching bookkeeping and I don't need that part. I just want to know how to get clients and like set up my business and all the back end stuff. So just struggled through it for so long. And I saw the same questions coming into Facebook groups that I was hanging out in that I had when I first started. So, like about a year or two in, I was like, man, people are having the same issues. And there's a lot of people out here that have the accounting background. So, they don't want to take a bookkeeping basics course, right? So, that's when I kind of was like, light bulb, maybe I should create something
Okay.
and give people the roadmap that I, eventually ended up taking myself through with lots of detours, right? But I like
Bumps.
streamlined it down. And I created like a little PDF, kind of like you have, right? Like here's like a checklist and here's how to like get your first client and things like that. And it just kind of evolved into what it is today. I run the workshops and I kind of teach that whole system in a live format. And then at the end of the workshops, I invite people to join my signature program called Bookkeeping Business Accelerator. And that's where we dive deep into like everything.
Well, so I mean, I took a little bit of the 4 parts of the 4 days of the next week. Dive a little bit more. What are people? So it seems like I was looking at the sales page, and it's got a whole lot of information for like $37, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that a little bit, as
Okay.
kind of quickly, and then we'll get into the more signature program because I know that that's a little bit more evergreen. But if I wanted to do the program with you next week, what can I expect? What am I going to learn? How will I continue to use it? Like after the 4 days? Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah. So in the 4 days, it's really designed for like getting people over that initial like hump of like, can I do this? Yes, you can, but like sometimes you just need a little bit of a push and some support. So if you're kind of in that like decision fatigue or analysis paralysis where you're like, I know I want to start a business. I just don't know quite yet if I'm cut out for it, like what services I should offer and all the questions that you have at the beginning, like what tech. So we talk about what it actually takes to run a virtual bookkeeping business. Since I run a virtual one, that's pretty much what I focus on, although it's transferable to serving locally too. Um, so what it actually takes kind of like in the mindset realm and kind of getting out of your own way in that regard. And then I talk about all the tech stack that I used at the very beginning. And most of it, I still use the same stuff, free or affordable, not like super high subscriptions. So the barrier to entry is really low. Um, and then the third day, we talk about building it as a business and not just a job, because even if you're doing it as a side hustle, you don't want to create another job for yourself where you're answering to multiple bosses, right? Like your clients are treating you like an employee. We talk about that. So that you're set up for success straight from the beginning of like kind of creating boundaries and defining what you really want out of it. I'm huge at like just beginning with the end in mind type of thing. Like, why am I doing this? What do I want out of it? So I can create the plan to get there with the least amount of resistance. And then in the fourth day is where I actually take you through my process for discovery calls. I think this one is huge to help people through because I know for me it was like a big question of like, how do I even like conduct them? And I don't really want to sell. So I teach you my process and it's very like authentic and not sleazy. So
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much the workshops.
What would the time commitment be for next week on that for the short 4 day live program? And I know there's
About an
replays too.
Yeah, about an hour a day,
Okay.
is what it takes to go through each of those lessons, and that's because they're taught live. If I just did them pre-recorded, they're probably like 30 minutes, but I ask for lots of engagement and interaction, and I answer people's questions as we go, so it's very interactive, and, I like doing it that way because then people can really like I know it's only $37, but you can really get your money's worth
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
by joining live and asking questions because I really am an open book. I even if it's something that like I potentially would cover in my main program, like I know not everybody's going to join that and people still need answers. So, yeah.
Well, then let's go. So I may or may not do the 4 days next week, but then I'm thinking, I'm watching this later, and you have the Evergreen program. It's Evergreen, right? Like, can they join the bookkeeping? Business
Yeah.
Accelerator at any time. So
Yeah,
then
it is
tell us
evergreen, the
about that.
self-paced version. Yeah. So I have two options. Pretty much when I run the workshops, at the end of the workshops, I open up the accelerator for our VIP cohort, which means you get the same thing that the self-paced people get. You can have access to the whole course, but I add weekly mentoring calls, basically, where you can join for, as a hot seat, like ask your questions, get them answered, get support you need. And we do weekly co-working sessions where you bring whatever you're working on, whether it's client work or implementing stuff in your business, and you can get support there too. And so we go along through the course together and have those weekly calls for 8 weeks. This upcoming cohort is actually going to end up 12 weeks because I'm putting a 2 week break in there. So it's going to last until about mid November. And we start in September. So yeah, even if you join Evergreen at any point, like you can always upgrade and join the next VIP cohort. And right now I'm trying something a little different where if you've been in a previous VIP cohort, you can join the new one too. So if you join and you get caught, in life and things happen and you can't join all the calls, well, you can join the next round, and it happens 3 times a year at this point. So and we have a Facebook group that's pretty engaged, and you can ask questions there and get support from your peers and from me. So it's very high touch when I run the cohorts because I think the community and the support is huge in helping you like take action and get further faster.
For sure. I like even though like I'm a solopreneur, probably a lot of your students might start off that way too, even if they do aspire to have a larger business. Like you got to have that the coworkers kind of. They're not coworkers in the same business, but they're your friends, your business best friends, I guess.
Yeah.
So if I'm part of there's two products. I can buy just the instructional material, but then I can also buy the VIP access. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the VIP access, when you buy that, you potentially get access to one more round, and then that's it. But you have lifetime access to the curriculum. Is that the right word? Am
Yeah.
I
So you
saying all
get
this right?
lifetime. I mean, lifetime, like people have a lot of questions around what lifetime access is. I kind of define it as like the lifetime of the program. So like if I ever decide to shut the program down completely, I'll let everybody know and make everything downloadable, and then I'll be like, go download it, and then I'm,
Sure.
closing it out, whatever. But yes, lifetime access to the materials. And you can if you're already in a VIP cohort and you miss a few calls, or even if you come to every call and you still feel like you need support, the next time the VIP cohort is going, you can join the calls again and get additional support. And right now there's no extra cost for this. I'm trying it out. I'm always like very transparent about like, this is just a test. Like, I don't know
Sure.
if this is going to end up working out. But right now that feels better for me because I usually end up with about half my students in the VIP cohort that don't come to all the calls because life happens. And I just feel like, well, I don't know if you got your money's worth. So like if you still need support, come to the next cohort. And if not, that's okay too. If you just
Are
want to watch the replays.
are they able to stay in the Facebook group
Yeah.
beyond? So that sort of that's the base level, not the VIP level, being in the
Right.
Facebook group. Okay.
Right.
Tell me about the curriculum part. How's that delivered? Is it like teachable, or we're going to go through some short videos, some long videos,
Yeah.
and how much of it? I'm also so curious when you answer this. Like, are we talking screen share stuff? Like, how technical is it? Like, I see you got a HubDoc shirt on. Do you have
Yeah.
like some HubDoc videos, or
Yeah.
um,
So
how does all that
um
go?
to answer your first question, I currently hosting the course inside of a platform called Kajabi,
Okay,
which I've gone through other courses in Kajabi and I like the layout. I know everyone has their own preferences, but I like the format and the layout of it. So that's where I'm currently hosting it. You can leave comments on videos. So if
Huh.
you aren't in the Facebook group and you still have questions about the lesson, you can get your support. Like I'm huge at offering different avenues of getting support because I know not everybody likes to be in a Facebook group, and that's cool. So you can comment below the videos, and me and my team will answer questions there. So hosted in Kajabi, shorter lessons. I'm actually in the process of revamping all the material right now and breaking each lesson into at least or the most 15 minutes each. Unless it's something that really can't be broken into a shorter lesson. So there's me talking to the camera like this in most of the intro lessons. And then the other, most of the other content is slides presentations and screen share. So if it's something where I need to demo something, you will see a screen share and I'll walk you through things. So for example, one of the things that I demo is how to do a diagnostic review. And so I actually pull up a demo QuickBooks file and take you through what my process is for analyzing someone's books to see what kind of shape they're in. um, so things like that, I'll do a screen share. I am building out a tech vault. So the core content you can go through no matter which system you're using because it's applicable. Like the theory is applicable to QuickBooks and to Zero, whatever your background is. But then there's going to be a separate like tech vault where if you want to know how to do something specifically in HubDoc or specifically in Zero, I am building that out as well. So those obviously are going to be screen share situations. Yeah.
So I know lots of people have downloaded my bookkeeping course comparison chart, and we've just recently added you as a row on there. And you said that your main instruction platform and the one that you're most familiar with is Zero, which I was really intrigued by and happy about because I've been looking for one that is more Zero focused. So how does the bookkeeping software and do you try to serve most of your clients? Like, how does the Zero play into this
Yeah.
particular course?
So personally, inside my practice, 99% of our clients are on Zero. I have
Wow.
one consulting client left on QuickBooks Online, but at the beginning, I started using both. Right, I used Zero for my own bookkeeping just to learn it, and kind of fell in love with it. So every new client that we got, if they were a new business, if they were basically in any industry, if they were a new business, we would recommend Zero because I just liked the way that it functioned a little bit better. It's more efficient for our workflows. And so eventually we just ended up with the natural progression of how your firm grows. You end up niching down a little bit. You end up, getting rid of some clients leave. And so it just kind of worked out that we ended up a fully Zero firm. Part of that was our doing. Like I said, every new client that we got on, we just put them on Zero. And then now, if someone comes to us and they have books in QuickBooks, we just say, we pretty much are going to migrate you to Zero. So if you're not okay with that, we probably aren't a great fit.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Well,
but how it
so
plays into the course is,
yeah.
like I said, in that tech vault. Like, so the core content in the course, you can take that and apply it to whatever system you use. And one of the things that I do recommend inside the course is choosing one software because that's going to make you the most efficient.
Mhm.
Um, and especially if you want to build a team, always kind of have that like vision for the future. Like, how is this going to affect my future, the future path of where I go? So that is something I recommend. So I'm not like telling people they have to use Zero, but the Tech Vault is not really going to have QuickBooks in it. It's going to be mainly focused on Zero and HubDoc, to
There's a
answer your
whole lot of
question.
there's a whole lot of QuickBooks stuff out there.
Exactly. There's
If
so much out there.
if any of your students need the QuickBooks tutorials, I'm sure you've got your like, go watch these channels for
Yes,
free.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it too, like, and I know QuickBooks too. Like I have a lot of knowledge about it and I can help people through it. So like I said, we have these co-working sessions. A lot of times what will end up happening is someone brings like current client work that they're working on and they're stuck with like, I'm working on this cleanup. I'm at a, a sticking point where I don't know where to go next. Can you just hop on a screen share with me and show me where you would go next? And most of the time they're in QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll go into a breakout room. So we're not screen sharing with the whole group. It's just
Okay.
me and the one student to maintain, client privacy and all that. And so I'll walk them through the steps that I would take because I'm very familiar with doing cleanups in QuickBooks.
Clean them up, migrate them to zero, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But it wasn't always that way. Like I said, I used to serve, most of my clients were actually in QuickBooks Online. And
Yep.
so I am pretty well versed in it. And I do attend their like quarterly updates and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
because I still think it's important to kind of understand what's going on with the software and where it's heading so I can still support my students. So
Fabulous. Y'all, yeah, if you have any questions, please ask them. I have a few more myself, but we would love to have time for Q&A at the end and get some interaction. Oh, now I'm losing what I had. Also, yes. So she just talked about the full course. And then don't forget that there is, for those of y'all who've joined since the beginning, there's the 4-day workshop that's starting from August 23rd to August 27th, 2021, which runs several times a year. Those links are going to be below. And if you're watching this later and you've missed it, that link to the live workshops, that's super, 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 super affordable, will be a wait list, so you can get on it again. And the full course is affordable too. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Couple of other questions for you now that I've given another update to those of y'all watching now. What would you say makes your course unique in the marketplace?
like I said before, when I went out on my own, I felt like there's like these like really advanced courses for like the bigger firm owners, like the CPA firm owners and like those kinds of groups. And then there's the beginning bookkeeping courses that are teaching bookkeeping, right? And I felt like I fell kind of in the middle. Like I had the bookkeeping knowledge. I didn't really want to become a CPA firm. So I was like, I need something kind of in the middle. So that's what I created, right? So most of my students have an accounting degree or have extensive bookkeeping knowledge or background. A lot of us have our CPA licenses and we just don't actually want to provide tax or audit. We just want to be bookkeepers, right? Not saying that just bookkeeping, but there's there's a value to having a simple focus, right? Or a single focus. And yeah, so like I said, it's built for people who actually have the accounting background. I know you preach this a lot. It's very important for bookkeepers to understand the accounting equation. And I firmly believe the same thing. So if you are looking for the basics on accounting, I always direct people to other resources. There's lots of them out there. Like you said, Bookkeeper Launch is one of them. Accountingcoach.com is a great one for free. But yeah, I am more focused on helping people who already have the bookkeeping basics and the accounting basics. You just might need a little support in like how to execute that for a small business. Like, how I was. I came from a huge corporate background. And it's a little different doing stuff for small businesses. So I help you transfer your corporate knowledge. So I would say that's the main difference. And then, like you said, there's not much out there with zero. So that is another difference there.
So all y'all who just got your zero certification in May with us when we took a gajillion people through that, y'all, lots of people are like, I loved it. This is the best. So now you have a course that, like she said, you can do it in anything, but the instructor, the vibe, it's got the zero vibe because 99% of our clients are on zero. So that's cool. What sort of student?
I share my processes that I use inside my firm, like how I've set up my firm level reporting. I don't know if you're familiar with that zero feature, but you can design one set of reports and then just push them down to all your clients. I show you like basically all my processes for that kind of stuff so that like it's just a little bit easier to get going.
Nice. What sort of student is most successful in your course? And then conversely, are there any that would not be so successful in your course?
I would say number one, having the accounting experience, like I said, whether it's bookkeeping or an accounting degree, having some knowledge in accounting, because like I said, I'm not going to teach the basics. It's kind of like a prerequisite, although I don't test you to be able to get in. I don't make people apply. I just expect people to make their own decision on that. So having the experience is one. And then the second, maybe second and third, is an being an action taker, right? Because I can't create the results for you. I can lead the way. I can show you what's worked for me, but ultimately it's up to the student to take the action and make their own progress. So that, and then just having an abundance mindset. So like when I came on here, it's like technically I guess we could be considered competition, right? Like, but you could be considered competition with all the students that are going through the program with you. And I don't operate that way. Like there's plenty of clients for everybody. So that's a big one for me too, is not viewing your cohort or the other students in the program with you as competition.
All right. Do you have a favorite student success story?
I would say, yeah, I do. I have a
Okay,
few, but
share it.
I'll just talk about one. One of my first students, her name is Misa. She was in my very first cohort of BBA when I was kind of like building out the whole program. She just quit her 9 to 5 last month. So she went through my program. I guess it was about a little over a year ago, because the first cohort was was like the kind of the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
um, and so it just kind of worked out that way. Well, she just quit her 9 to 5, because she built her business to the point where she had saved enough money to be able to quit her. And this was a management position. It's not like she was, like it was a good position with benefits and salary and all that kind of stuff. So like she had saved up enough money over the past year building up her bookkeeping business to be able to quit her job and go all in. And that stuff just like lights me up.
It's
And
life changing. I mean,
yeah, it
that's
is. It's like it's crazy to like be like, I played a tiny part in that, but ultimately it was really her. I just kind of created the space for her, right? That's really what I'm doing for my students, is helping them like see what's possible and creating the space for them to go and do it, right? So, if you want to reach out to her, her business is Perfectly Kept Books. She's on Instagram at Perfectly Kept Books. She's amazing. You should follow her.
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all. I'm sure she would give people her opinion of the course and how it helped. And so thanks for sharing that
Yeah.
resource. So let's talk about the cost of these two resources. We've got
Mhm.
the workshop, the 4-day workshop next week, and then the full program. How much do these investments in your cost?
Yeah. So like you said, the workshops next week are just $37. And we were talking about this before we went live, and you're like, you packed a lot of stuff in there for
Yeah.
$37. And I'm like, why? I think is what you were getting at, like, why? And for a couple of reasons, I I know that a lot of people do free challenges. And there's nothing wrong with free challenges. I just, for the participants of the challenge, is like when you invest a little bit of money, you're more committed. So it's going to help you be more successful. So that's the reasoning behind that, instead of just doing a free challenge. And also, like, you can join the workshops. And like you said before we went live, someone could just do the stuff in the workshops and just be able to launch their business. And that's kind of the point of it, because I know not everybody needs a full on course. They don't need all of the support. They just kind of need that little bit of like push at the beginning to gain momentum on their own. So that's the workshops, $37. And then the BBA, I call it BBA, the Accelerator. The self-paced version that's evergreen, you can always join it, is $697 full pay and $279 for a three monthly payments.
Okay.
So it's very affordable. There's a lot of stuff packed in there, which we didn't really talk about. We can at the end if you want, or if people have specific questions on like, I know I need XYZ, is it in your program? I can totally answer that. You can also just check out the sales page, because it's all up there too. And then, like I said, we do these VIP cohorts 3 times a year. And the investment for that is Full pay is $1,777, so 1,777, or a 6 payment plan of 6 monthly payments of 333, which amounts to almost $2,000. So
And that gives you the evergreen material as well, or is that on
yes,
top? Okay.
yeah,
And now we get to chime in that she is offering discounts for both of these, 10% for the Bookkeeping
yes,
Side Hustle community. So go to the URL, guys. This bookkeepingsidehustle.com/Serena-Shoup is what I made. All that information will be there. 10% off for the people from this community. Y'all know I always like to ask for discounts to help people get over that hump, because I know, like, yeah, once you're serious, it can really be like life-changing. I would say
yeah,
this journey into bookkeeping has totally changed my life. And I couldn't have said that about any other job I'd had before. It was
right,
more just like, I was proud of the jobs that I had, like, and I tried to do a good job, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like my whole world has changed because of being able to build this life that my family and I had dreamed about. So,
yeah.
so y'all, if there's any other questions, like you said, about the course, please chime in. But how can people find out more about you? That's one question I wanted to make sure we answered.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram is where I'm most active probably, and I'm at Ambitious Bookkeeper. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can search me there, just Serena Shoup. I should pop up. I'm not really sure, but yeah, the LinkedIn link is just Serena Shoup, so it's not like some weird combination of letters and numbers.
Okay.
So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, everywhere at Ambitious Bookkeeper, most likely. So and then of course my website is of I almost said the name of my firm. My firm is Of Course Bookkeeping. But you can also find me there, obviously. But my website's ambitiousbookkeeper.com. I also have a podcast. If
Oh
I could
yes,
plug
please tell
that.
us about
I
that.
just launched it in June. And it's geared toward bookkeepers and accountants, obviously. And it's called the Ambitious Bookkeeper Podcast. So it's super easy to find there too. I drop a new episode every Wednesday morning, and I just like to inspire people and help them kind of take the next steps to starting their business or making leaps with their clients and all that kind of stuff. So
when we're done, I'll get the link to the best way to find that podcast, and I'll put it in the description below and on the website here at the bottom of our little image on the screen right now. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm a podcast junkie.
Me too.
I'm like I don't have the luxury of like dedicated learning time. Like, I have to be learning when I'm doing something else. So that's why podcasts work for me.
Yep, me too. Yeah. I actually even side note on the program, I have a private podcast feed for all the lessons in my program too. So like you can either watch them on the Kajabi app, or you can just listen to them through your podcast player, which has
Wow.
been pretty cool for my students. Same with the replay call, or the call replays. So like when we have our weekly calls, I put the recordings up in the private podcast feed. So
So if someone's asking a question about their client, I still get to listen to that. And okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't record the co-working sessions because we do like the breakout rooms, and
Okay.
it's mostly just kind of like I play music and it's silent and people are just working. But I do record the hot seat calls. So yes, those are super valuable to re-listen to, because you inevitably will have the same questions that someone else has at some point.
Totally. There's not like, we're not like going to the moon here. We're like,
Yeah.
it's a hard job, and accounting is not innate. Like, debits and credits and double entry, like, yeah, we're not sending people to the moon, but you have to just learn it. And once you learn it, then you start to think that way. And then like the both sides of the entry make sense. But until you do, you have to, anyway, just be disciplined and practice and keep learning. So, well, that is all I have. I'm working on keeping my interview shorter. I think this gives people enough meat and to decide if this is where they want to make their investment. And like you said, you give away a lot of advice. That's kind of what I try to do too, y'all. Some people might be able to get away with this very, the shorter 4-day course. Some people, like I would have needed the whole thing. I had been out of the workforce for a long time, and I'd also never thought about being an entrepreneur. And I think that's a lot more different animal than people might think it is. Like, oh, I can just start a business. Like, well, like that's it's just a lot. So I would have needed that whole package, I think. But it's more power to the folks that don't get it and run, and follow you on Instagram and learn how you handle difficult clients. I've seen some of your some of your stuff. All right, well, we will wrap up. Thank you for being here, guys. Look down below for all the relevant links, and I wish everyone best of luck next week in the Accelerator and hearing good stories, more like Misa, who've quit their job. That's the ultimate goal, I guess, for a lot of people. So or if you're like me, restarting generating an income. I was that was my story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And reach out directly to me if you have questions about the program and you want to know if it's a good fit for you personally. You can tell me your personal situation and I will give you an honest answer. I have turned people away from the program that I don't feel like is the right answer for them. So
fabulous.
100% integrity there. I just want to make sure that the people that do join are going to see success. So
I really like that co-working thing. I like people, and I like, especially after having not been around adults and not being in a professional environment for a long time, that would have been really appealing to me. I don't know of any other program that does that. So y'all, that's kind of appealing. Like it can be lonely, even if you're like have like, oh, I have like the weekly call or whatever. Like to actually be able to like sit down with people, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I'll even bring my work to work on in case people don't have questions, but I'm generally just sitting there in the chat. Like if something comes up and they're like, "Oh, like how should I word this proposal?" or "How should I like I know I need to raise my prices on this one client. Like can you help me like figure out
but
what
how
to
do I
tell
write
them?"
this? And,
Yeah.
that's
And sometimes we just go over like there's been a couple people that are like, "Can you just look at my website and tell me like what I need to update, like how I should talk about myself on my website?" I love copywriting. So like
cool.
that's one of my like zones of like I can take someone's website and tell them how to like simplify it so people understand it and like help them write their about me. Like I love that kind of stuff. So
Wow.
everything's on the table, everything's free game in those co-working sessions and those hot seats. So yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll say goodbye for real this time. Thanks everybody for
Thank you.
listening. Reach out to me, or if you can't find Serena online, I'll make sure to connect you. But keep hustling. All right. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.